Hello, wonderful friends. Welcome to the Teresa Lusk Show. And I have a wonderful guest with me today, Congresswoman Victoria Spartz. Congresswoman, welcome to the Teresa Lusk Show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Teresa.
It's a pleasure. I was reading up on you, and you have an amazing background. You grew up under communism. You were a bank teller. You started as a bank teller, but then you went all the way to auditing for Fortune 500 companies. You were the CEO for the Indiana Attorney General. You were in the state Senate, and now you are a congresswoman. What an amazing accomplishment. Like, you have so many things behind you, and I'm really excited to hear your journey a little bit. Would you share with our viewers just a little bit about what it was like growing up under communism? Can you share with our viewers, just give us a picture of how challenging that must have been?
Well, listen, I got myself in trouble now, and I'm in Congress, so that's really where all of the drama. But I'll be honest with you, growing up under dictatorship, totalitarian regime, under communism and socialism, and see, what oppression is, and then in 90s when Soviet Union fell apart, going through the wild west of pretty much criminal activity of mob rule. And then when things started getting better, and building, a lot of energy happening with all of these ideas of freedoms were happening post-Soviet society. I went to college in 1995 back in Ukraine. And we had half of academia still were communists, and half of academia were free enterprise Republicans, Friedman and Hayek. I read Alexis de Tocqueville about democracy of America. So I was energized with these ideas of freedom as a young person, and then, by will of God, I met my future husband on the train in Europe. And after college, we got engaged, and I came to the United States with one suitcase, crossing the ocean, very inspired by idea, and you have to be a little bit crazy, but believing in all these freedoms and understanding what the United States is about, is this republic that gives the people the most freedoms. And then, I've had all kinds of jobs. I started, and care about my fancy degree from Ukraine. So I just went and took any job I could take, and, advanced eventually in executive positions, started my own businesses, and really, started doing a lot of things in the business and community. And I was a little bit surprised to see how much government we were getting and how it started resembling times when I grew up in Soviet Union. So, oh my gosh, it's almost like full circle. I grew up under socialism, saw what happened when it fell apart, and now we're like building socialism. It's sad for me to see that. So I got involved and became a Tea Party organizer, and eventually got myself in trouble being a politician.
Of course, I don't think there'd be any way around that one for sure. Congresswoman, what are some things that Americans really don't understand about the overreach of government today? Because clearly you just said, you understood the level of freedoms that we had here, and coming from where you came from, what are a couple of things that a lot of times Americans don't understand with this government overreach, why so many conservatives and some Americans in general are resisting towards that? What can we understand from your own life?
Well, I think, government is inherently gets corrupt. So the more power and money you give to government, the more oppression you're going to get. And the more people closer to government, they can write big checks, going to get more benefits. And everyone else will get in more and more equally poor. And that's why we now have pretty much creating oligarchy in Washington, D.C., and small businesses can barely survive. They cannot afford having big lobbies for them. They can afford to lobby loopholes, not paying taxes, or getting a bunch of grants and getting all of the money and perks from the government. So they have the hard time surviving. And then you create now where, we don't empower people to move into middle class, don't grow middle class, and really, destroy opportunities for a lot of young people and a lot of people, for a lot of Americans, and it's very hard then when the government gets real big and corrupt, and can buy election with our own money. I think our founding fathers were very afraid of that. It becomes like a vicious circle. It's very hard then for the people to be able to pursue happiness in whichever way they want, that no one on top tells them what to do. That's what makes us the greatest country in the world. People are the same everywhere. We're the greatest country because we have the greatest structure and freedoms for the people.
Why is it so hard for some people to understand that? What is it that they're being told, or what is it that, where is the lie, the deception that's so strong that people don't really understand? This really is the state that we're in America right now, or hopefully we're reversing now with Trump. Where is the lie so deeply seated?
Well, I think the challenge what you have, right? And I think, it's like you put a frog in the boiling water. It's like I came here with all these ideas of founding fathers, and Americans getting boiled slowly. So you don't even realize how much freedom you lose when it's becoming too late and it's hard to get it back. And I think you have media getting corrupt, school and education is getting really corrupt and not teaching right things to our children. So it's becoming slowly bigger and bigger problem, but people don't see it until it's like, oh my gosh, what we're going to do. And then, also, socialism is great until you run out of money. And that's a situation we're now facing, which is a serious situation. We actually running out of money and cannot keep promises to the people, which can be very dangerous for any country. And that's how a lot of republics in country fail. When we spend too much money, government gets too centralized and corrupt.
Do you see what President Trump is doing presently with so many of the executive orders and kind of reversing some of that DEI stuff, also all this corrupt stuff? Even today, I don't know if you saw, but they're demanding that the pronoun thing, everything. Is that part of the government control as well that you see? And do you think that's effective, useful? Is that part of how the government begins to control? What do you think about that?
Well, I think controlling speech and intimidating people, it's one of the things, that government is using. But the big part, this most important part, is money. It's all about the money. If you want to stop government control and you should stop giving money to all of these bad causes. If you're going to have all this, oh, you're terrible, but going to send a blank check and they still can use this agency, this money for bad causes, and Congress doesn't do its job, then it doesn't matter. The swamp is going to, wait for years, slow work everything. A lot of, you saw what happened in last time, after President Trump was not in the office, Biden create, nightmare worse than it ever was before, because you cannot legislate through executive orders. You cannot bring stability, but it's also, you have to stop funding some of that. So that is extremely important. And Congress, that's job of Congress, and we abandon our duties.
What are two very important things in your mind that need to be taken care of right away so that we can see the direction of our nation fast forward to some success here, to some relief? I think there's a lot of uncertainty going on in the hearts and minds of Americans right now.
Well, I think we need to secure our country, secure our border, and stop insanity with really having criminals running wild in the country. We need to have law and order. We need to support police officers. We need to support our border patrol and really be a strong country, support our military. I think that's extremely important. And President Trump is starting doing that stuff. And actually, as an executive, he has a lot of ability to do that, even on his own. The challenges if Congress doesn't fix some laws, and we don't know what's going to happen with next president. But, at least in the short term, he's able to do some of these things. But the biggest second issues, it's our national debt and spending. This is a national security issue. And one of the biggest driver of national debt is healthcare. We're really creating money laundering operation where a lot of these healthcare cartels are destroying our fiscal health of our nation, but also a lot of fiscal health of our people, and people are not getting healthier. So I think it's a national security issue. It has to be dealt with. And I'm glad that President Trump has good nominees to help him to make America healthy again.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I absolutely think that he's got some great nominees lined up right now. And for those who are watching and are going to watch, you are tuned in with Congresswoman Victoria Spartz from Indiana. Congresswoman, there's been some reports out there that you left some House representative conferences, Republican conferences, and I want to know what do you see in regards to unity within our party? What are the challenges? What was some of the reasons that you did that? But what are some things that we could say, okay, the parties working to unify. This is how. And what were the benefits of holding back from from the conference?
Well, listen, I think if we don't deliver for the people and don't put money where mouth is, Republicans have no excuses now. We have presidency, we have the House and the Senate, then we're going to lose. And we're going to lose this republic. And then very radical Marxist ideology is going to win. So we have to put money where mouth. Yes, and unfortunately, Republicans will do a lot of talk, but not actions, and don't have enough courage to challenge the machine of money. So we need to unite for these ideas that we promised to the American people. But there are a lot of people there that would rather unite with Democrats and get reelected and get a lot of PAC money. And I told my leadership of my party, this is a huge responsibility. And so I don't need be a talking head and they're doing presentations. We need to govern, we need to deliver. So I want to make sure that I put enough pressure on them. So working with them, I attend when it matters. I come to the meetings when it matters. I work on the legislation that it matters. And I don't owe anything to, my leadership of my party, because I have to hold them accountable to the people I represent.
Do you think it's making a difference? Have you seen it making a difference? I mean, where does that stand?
It makes a big difference.
Okay.
I made a big difference, believe me, because fortunately enough, we have a very tight majority. So a few of us can save this republic. If we would have plus 20 majority, republic would be really in trouble. So now, we need to be able to deliver on these promises. And I hope that we'll have courage to actually do it. President Trump, he does have courage, but as I said, if we want to have his agenda to last more than 4 years and really, fix our country, it has to go through Congress.
Absolutely. One of the other issues that you seem to be at ahead of the game when it comes to money to Ukraine. I think that there's a lot of Americans. Clearly I'm a conservative, and I talk to the different factions of conservatism, and people talk about, well, yes, money to Ukraine, no money to Ukraine. Can you help us understand that just real quickly? Why do you not support it? Why do you really want to hold them accountable? What can Americans understand regarding this?
Well, listen, we should never have blank check, anywhere, but send it to foreign countries and foreign governments with no accountability and strategy is completely irresponsible. And it is not in our national security issues. When we're involved with any foreign policy, we have to have strategy and have a very tight oversight, especially when you deal with countries, that's quite corrupt, and I think it's very important. I was very surprised when I was the first person who actually demanded accountability and oversight as a congresswoman. Actually, that's my constitutional duty. And I was attacked. Seriously attacked through all media around the world, like I'm pro-Kremlin, because I'm asking where we're spending the money. I was almost like, OMG, that's really, I thought that's my job, number one job, to ask where they spend the money of the people I represent. That is my number one duty. Power of the purse is number one duty of Congress. And that was almost like, I couldn't believe that, but, that's okay. You need to have thin skin there, not be afraid to tell the truth, because ultimately people need to understand, we don't have never ending money in anything we do. We have to have strategy, and Soviet Union was not really taken down by weapons. We had energy policy, you had financial policy. It was a combination of things, and it wasn't done nothing. It was actually things were done opposite to everything. Ukraine also don't have never ending people. A lot of people are dying, and if you don't have a strategy, you really just prolonging some wars, and a lot of people are going to die, and they're not going to win. And then you're dealing with very, let's say, lives much to be desired governments in a lot of these countries. So we need to be realistic, not just by BS and presentations, but we cannot be stupid. We need to be much smarter in foreign policy. You need to be strong, and that's what President Trump brings to the table: peace through strength. He's strong enough, where a lot of these foreign leaders are not going to move on his watch. And Putin didn't move under his watch because he understood there are going to be consequences to destabilize the world and starting bloodsheds and having all they do. He understood that when you have weak leaders, then you don't have peace, and that's unfortunate.
That's right. Do you think that the conservatives who would not support this, is there a motive behind them? Is there money behind them? What would be their unwillingness to get behind this and put some some responsibility to them and say, no, we've got to account? What would be their motivation for not joining in on that?
Well, I think it's a combination of things, but also a lot of people don't understand what's really happening, right? Because media is dishonest. I mean, our mainstream media never tell the truth. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't even realize what's happened. A lot of people don't even realize that from a lot of money we sent, it's like was slush fund for Biden. A lot of them didn't even go to Ukraine. A lot of weapons didn't go to Ukraine. So, I mean, it's just a slush fund becoming where a lot of these leaders, like to use emergency, and foreign and domestic, there's no accountability to be able to spend money and give it to a lot of their friends or who know where, and a lot of causes that we might not even support. Because we don't even know what's happening. They don't even report back to Congress on a lot of this money, which is very concerning to me because we don't have, proper oversight of a lot of these funds, So I think we need to put stop to all of this national emergency, international emergencies. Everything should get through the Congress, but Congress is not doing a job. It goes back to, presidents are able to abuse their power just because we are not doing our job.
Right. Do you think that President Trump is going to turn that over? I mean, do you think that Congress is going to start cooperating, really trying to lead, forward President Trump's plan and his vision to change the narrative so far regarding Ukraine and other issues as well?
Well, I think President Trump sets a pretty right tone right now, right? He understands where we are, and and he needs to be able to, put pressure on Putin not to move further. But I think, unfortunately, he inherited very difficult situation. It's very difficult to resolve that situation, and unfortunately, President Biden, and it started under Obama actually, turned it into very long-term, conflict that is going to be generational. Now it's not going to be easy to get out because ultimately Russia is not losing to agree to something that Ukrainian people will be able to agree after such a sacrifice. So it's going to be more temporary resolution, which eventually would have to be resolved, and it will depend on the Ukrainian people, what they want to do, and the governments they elect. Unfortunately, people pay high price for governments they elect. We pay with money, they pay with blood. And until people start realizing that, they will not be able to win the war. If you don't have right leaders, you're not going to prevail.
Do you believe Democrats are going to start cooperating some, or do you think this is just going to become a more intensified situation? I mean, what do you see so far?
I don't think Democrats will be trying to help much through President Trump. Unfortunately, everything became so political. I think, our minority leader was pretty much almost tried to incite violence, saying we need to fight, on the streets, we need to fight. So I don't think they try to actually, unfortunately, nothing anymore bipartisan, very few issues. There are some issues of national security that usually are bipartisan, but everything became very partisan, all about power and money in Washington, D.C., and in a lot of good things, even they probably could agree with President Trump on, they're trying to sabotage, and that's unfortunate reality. But as I said, we have control of the House and the Senate. It's a slim majority, so we'll have to be able to do things, have things done, and that's why reconciliation is going to be a big deal, because we don't have to get 60 votes in the Senate to be able to accomplish some major positive changes for the country. So that's going to be a really major legacy for President Trump we need to deliver on.
Yes, it's quite exciting to watch everything going on. I just can't wait to see things getting better for the sake of our country, so that, we really need a break from all the tension going on in our nation. Who knows if it'll really happen or not. But one of the things I wanted to talk to you about just briefly, and usually I ask about this at the beginning of our interview, but I really want to know what led you to get into politics. I mean, I know you're a businesswoman, you're very much accomplished, but what was that light bulb that just said, I need to get into politics?
Well, I think first I just got really upset and very mad what's happening in the country. I'll be honest with you. And I belong to a group of people, if I don't like things, I feel like you just cannot just complain. You need to get up and do something about it. And that's how I got involved with Tea Party. And then I became eventually, with a lot of grassroots people would try to push me, oh, Victoria, you need to become president of Republican Women. I'm like, oh my gosh, then they push me further doing this and this. So I always have like people on the ground that put a lot of expectations in me, and we'll need to have someone fight. And I have such much appreciation for freedoms. And, growing up under tyranny, I believe in greatness of our republic, and I understand where the greatness of our republic is. And I think my job is to make sure that I deliver for the people and have brighter future for our children. Americans, every generations wanted to make our country better. Better union for our next generation. And right now, we're destroying the country for future generations. It's selfish, it's irresponsible what we're doing. So we need to get country back on track and help. We have a lot of good people, that care about it. We saw this election, a lot of people that never were involved in politics came, and to send, the message to Washington, enough is enough. At some point, we're going to get up and force you to start doing something. So I think it was very positive. We just have so many bad people accumulated in politics now, that sometimes I feel like I'm one woman standing, but it's okay. I have a few men with me there too, good ones. And the good thing that we have a very tight majority. So few of us standing can accomplish a lot.
Yes, that's wonderful. I love it though. Hey, I mean, I believe some people are just made for these kinds of fights and these pushing forward. I mean, I just believe that. What would you like to leave our viewers with, especially our young viewers who maybe aren't seeing the subtle steps into some of the government overreach and just kind of subtly bringing in the control so that we don't notice? What would you say to our younger generations, and even to the people who maybe aren't of the younger generations, but maybe they're not so fond of what's going on with our current president, President Trump? They think, that he is the problem. What do you say, especially with your background? Because I think when you come from another country, it is no doubt that you have a different perspective, sometimes a broader perspective on things. What would you like to leave our viewers with?
Well, never underestimate your powers in America and never give up. And don't think that these people in Washington, D.C. government somehow are better than you are and can tell you better. The power of our country is that we as an individual decide how we're going to pursue our happiness. And our Constitution guarantees us rights, and that's what it does. It's equality of rights. We all want different things. We don't want the same outcomes. Some want to be politicians, some want to be ballerinas. Okay, some want to be scientists. Some, and no one have to tell you that you cannot be what you want to be. And I think it's important to remember we'll never have the same opportunities. Some people have more, some have less. This is just life. But don't think that you are limited by where you start. That's what America is. You're not. You can pursue happiness and become whoever you want and make a big difference because you're just willing to get up and do something about it. Whatever your passion is, whatever you want to pursue. And that is really beauty of our republic, and innovation, ingenuity is in our people. And challenging the status quo and being like revolutionary innovators, entrepreneurs. And I think that is the spirit of America. We cannot let it die because that what makes us the greatest country in the world. But if somebody like me can go across an ocean, barely speaking English with my suitcase and become probably quite broken institution right now, but still very important, very powerful institution, and become in Congress and Congresswoman. So I think the American dream is still alive. And I think we shouldn't underestimate. And there are a lot of people with really powerful stories, including in politics, some people, that you look at that, like, look at even President Trump, how much he has to overcome, whether you like him or not. He's a tough cookie to where he is, and he wants to do great things for the country. And I think as an Americans, we can achieve a lot if we really remember what is our foundation and what makes us the greatest country. And sometimes it's okay to have differences. That's good because it makes us stronger. Have debates and deliberation. Me and my husband don't agree with a lot of things. Been married for 25 years, wouldn't train another man. But, it's important to have sometimes, and he's probably sometimes my best critic and keeps me grounded. So it's important to have people around it, but never forget that our country is great because our people are great and strong, and you as an American, each of us has enormous amount of power, and no one should take it ever from us, and never give up our rights.
That's beautiful. Beautifully said. You couldn't have ended it any more perfect way. Congresswoman Victoria Spartz, I thank you so much for joining the Teresa Lusk Show, and good luck and blessings on everything that you're doing. And hey, I can't wait to hear some good news from Congress. You take care and God bless.
Thank you,
Thank
Teresa.
you.
God bless you
Take
too.
care.
Thank you.